revenue for the month, which we jumped drastically from last month. Total for the month, we brought in $72,098, which is a jump of 21% over last year. So we ended the year as well, so also a positive. We ended 4.37% greater in sales tax contribution dollars this year. Going for the month, expenditures, so $38,809. This takes into consideration a $22,000 bond payment, as well as some auditing fees. Everything looks normal. Revenue minus expenditures, we brought in a total revenue of $34,451. This is also the last statement for the year. So as you can see on the last column, budget versus actual year to date, these are actual dollar amounts that were not spent for the year. So hopefully the new budget that we worked on will help bring these numbers closer to zero. Other than that, I didn't see anything out of the ordinary. The new fund balance is $2,553,420. Any questions?
That's not your actual cash balance, correct? That's just your
unaudited
total assets.
Yeah.
Some people get a little turned around with it. We have that many dollars, and that's not a true statement.
Okay.
What is our actual cash balance?
I have to get into Wells Fargo and check it, but 32,000.
I checked it today because I moved money over. Before I moved money, we had 114,000 in checking, so I moved 64,000 into money market, and that brought money market up to $1,870,000.
We're doing okay.
So give us a couple of months, and we'll be up to $2 million.
Hopefully. Carlos, you're getting the numbers as you please. You're not getting the
Connie was away on business last week, but I called her today and we talked personally about some of the questions I had, and so it worked out good. Still on the agenda is to talk through some of the budget for some budget questions I had for the entire year. Just looking at it, but overall I'm pleased and satisfied with the responses I've been getting.
Very well, thank you. We've also, for the record, been added by Marisa Jimenez Martinez.
Would it benefit us to maybe consider moving some of these funds into certificate deposits? I know Wells Fargo's not offering much, but maybe we could put it into a Cedars or something like that and get some more money over what they're paying, because they're not paying but a 10% something.
Yeah.
Very insignificant. Is that right, Carlin?
I have to check, but that it merits a look into. I would have to say.
I would certainly like that. I brought it up a time or two, and it's always kind of fallen on the wayside. But I think we should be able to get something, a greater job for the use of our money than what we're getting. It wouldn't hurt to spread it out.
And well, in this I don't know. I'm just asking. Is it possible to shop banks, or we would have to stick with Wells Fargo? I mean, say our money would...
I can tell you this, it's not as easy as just us shopping.
Yes, that's what
we have to
mean.
go with the city, and I thought they told me last year that this was the last year, calendar year, and then they would, I don't know what to call it, bid it out, but go to other banks and see what the best deal was.
That's what I was asking.
Yeah, that's the same question, and what I responded, the response was that, well, you do what the city does, but I would.
I think the way the bid actually was set out last year and the contract were turned in, is the city is not obligated that they have to keep their investment with it. In fact, they have a investment committee that they could seek alternate kind of investments with it and all. So I know that Wells Fargo has a depository contract, but I think you could look at.
But we do legally have to stay with the same bank as the city.
That's what I was told, but I don't understand that. I don't know why that would be.
I don't know what they have.
It would kind of make me feel comfortable if we were to
at one time.
I don't know how they could do that, but
last
anyway.
5-6 years they've changed, you know. So we're really included.
will,
Mac
I
can
make
talk
me-
about Wells Fargo investment,
Yeah.
or contact.
Carlos, you want to dig into that? It might be a conflict for Andy, but I wish
Yeah.
you would, because I would feel a lot more comfortable with.
You wanna work on it as a team?
Absolutely.
Separated.
I think he has the name of the Wells Fargo representative in, saying that we're looking at doing something.
Yeah.
We might mention Cedars if he does it.
What's the worst? Any more questions for Carlos, anyone? Number 7, committee reports and possible action items, personnel committee.
she's not here now.
She's not here. Did she leave any notes, Tom?
No, sir.
Okay, Maryland's a winner, excused, absent. Budget finance audit committees.
Gave the report out, nothing to add at this time. Hopefully next meeting, me and Tommy can work on just seeing what options are out there as far as where we can put our monies into.
Well, we appreciate the work you're doing. Executive officer's report.
On the September the 12th, that was following our last board meeting, I told Dennis Brown with Toyota that the board had approved an asking price of $10,000 an acre, with Toyota installing the driveway across the 60-foot drainage easement. And I just, I think that, I don't know, I called him a week ago or 10 days ago, and I said, Dennis, have y'all made a decision yet? They're down to our 11.88 acres and 20 acres behind Walmart that belongs to the Hughes. And I said, have you guys, made a decision? And he said, no, I'm still trying to get my boss, the president of the plant here, out there to see it. I got in touch with the broker today who represents the Hughes, just asking him if he had heard anything, and he said absolutely nothing. So I have this feeling that they wanted another piece of property, but they needed some more properties to look at to be able to satisfy corporate, because they don't seem very anxious to me. And while we were looking, they were like, hurry up, I need the price, I needed this, I need, and now it's hurry up and wait, and I think it's a far-fetched.
I wonder how many other towns they were talking to at the same
Well,
time.
at some point, you have to realize you're being used as a springboard, and somebody's timeline they're rushing is not because of your interest, it's because they have a compromising position
Yeah.
somewhere else. And you don't need to compromise
I hope,
yourself with the brokers.
I hope they surprise us, but I'm pretty pessimistic, and the broker was too. On September 20th, we had 2 bond payments made. The Series 8, which is for this building, and that was we own 43.9% of the note, and so our principal and interest payment was $116,978, and then on the ball field 2016 series, we had to pay $17,800 in interest.
Okay, I have a question. So we're not liable for the $266,464. The total payment made by the city and FEDC is the $266,000 and change, and FEDC only pays basically 17,000 of it.
44.9%.
And that's a biannual payment, or
This
annual, or?
is PI, and then in March 1st of every year, we have to pay interest. But this is by large.
What's the interest payment? Do you remember offhand, neighborhood?
I thought it was 14,000.
Okay.
So this is the big one.
So
It happens September of every year.
What it says here, 17, 18, 818.
Well, that's the one we just did for the ball fields. It's referred to as 2016 series. I guess I've already covered the 921, talking to Dennis Brown. And on September 29th, I attended a webinar online to talk about retail and ICSC events. On October the 2nd, Mary Helen called me or emailed me and said that she was going to be in Dallas tonight on business, and she requested an excused absence, which as long as board members give us advance notice, they have an excused absence. On October the 17th, we are planning to have a Wilson County forum to try to bring in employers and find out, along with the state, and find out what training they need, and there are programs where that training can be paid by the Texas Workforce Commission instead of employers. You know, as with any event, the registration is way behind. We got a week left, and we've got to have at least 10 employers before they'll put it on, and I don't know if we'll make that or not. It's,
What do you have?
I've got, the chamber has sent out email blast to all their members, and the Workforce Solutions Alamo has sent out invitations to businesses in this area, trying to attract them. But, you know, it's, we used the word, you know, the wordage about the state paying for their employee training, but still haven't grabbed their attention, but hopefully we'll have enough. And that's it.
Very well. Moving to discussion item number 9, a possible action item, cost sharing facade signage grant application from Finders Keepers Market.
Robert, yeah, they have this in the packet. Why don't you just tell us what's going on and the time frame?
On a time frame? Well, just whenever we get it up. But well, we have signage right now, but it's just the signage, we put it up about 4 years ago, and it's just wearing with the weather. We just wanted to look better. So we always try to improve the building constantly, but you know, it's a huge place, so it's hard to keep up with. So, but we're looking at doing the sign at the street, which is just an existing sign what Bauman's had when it was there, and then we're going to put an LED light. It's the shape of the logo on the building, and it's going to be LED lit and everything like that.
Wow,
so
that's good.
So yeah, so.
And the total cost is $98,2910.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's the total cost of everything.
And I mean, you and I have visited about this, but
And we did multiple bids.
Understand that we whatever the board grants as far as a percentage, up to 50%, we pay off of paid receipts.
Perfect.
So you get
Not a problem.
I mean, you've already had to put 50%
Right.
down. So as soon as the sign's finished and you can give us all bills paid,
Okay.
receipt, we'll get you a check cut.
Perfect. That's great.
First.
Okay.
I make the motion, we approve this signage grant to Finder Keepers in the amount of $4,914.55. I believe it complies with all our requirements we have. It's a great purpose for what it's intended, and I appreciate it.
All right. Well, thanks.
I'll second the motion.
Have a motion by Eddie, a second by Scott. All those in favor? Motion passes.
Well, thank you guys.
Thank you, Robert.
All
Sorry
right.
for difficult.
No, it wasn't. That wasn't at all. No, it's not like talking in front of people. No.
You don't have to stay.
Okay, I'll stick around for a bit. I like listening to this.
Okay, Scott, this is for you. Update concerning the sports field complex behind the event center.
Does anybody remember that big building getting lit back there? I went and asked the the welder, I'm gonna call him the welder, and I asked him, what is this? And I walked back there, it had been raining, and he said, I'm not sure. I said, I'm not sure, and I said, you're not sure what you're building? And he kinda shook his head. He said, I think it's gonna be a batting cage. But he wouldn't verify that for certain. And I realized I wasn't gonna get any more information. And,
It is supposed to be a batting cage back there, but it says here's a batting cage that finished last week, and I drove it when we were coming back, before I came in this meeting.
Wasn't quite all the way finished? Like a little bit?
And earlier this week, I asked the general manager of Heartland to give me an update that I could tell the board, and this is his product that came through this afternoon.
There's no timeline on here, there's no start dates.
Yeah.
What did they say when it comes to dates?
Yeah, I asked him to give me estimated time of completion, and you see what I got at, I guess, 4 o'clock this afternoon. But
So is the new target date, they're targeting football this year, so is the new target date just gonna be baseball season, I guess, now? Because,
you know, they were supposed to wait a growing season, but I don't know if that starts.
if it can get roots now and get little growth, it may be all right come springtime. Later spring, early summer.
I think we've been real fortunate with the rains, as he said, but, and hopefully going into what we generally call fall around here, which is, it goes from steaming hot to kind of cool. We usually have rain, so that may help us when we don't have water to the building and water to the 100 acres. But anyway, he's saying that the grass got a good start and so forth. So
another thing, at that meeting, I went to the very first meeting with when they did and it was discussed that they were gonna cut back somewhere and put lights for the second football field.
yeah, that's what.
There's no lights for that second football field. Because he said he could drop lights off the poles that were going on to the main football field and just put some lights on the other end of the poles, and then it would just take another set of poles on the other side, so it could be done relatively cheap, being as how, and that was agreed upon and supposed to have been happening. There's no lights back there.
Is there a scheduled meeting coming up to talk about this project in particular? I know he addressed the city council meeting, but as for strictly this park and Heartland, is there any meetings set up so we can answer these type questions?
I haven't, Henrietta hadn't said anything to me, and given kind of the situation, I just felt like it was better to go straight to the GM and find out.
Okay.
If y'all all remember, in our original agreement with Heartland and with the city, there was gonna be an oversight committee to watch the draws, the progress, the funding, and has anybody been to any one of those meetings or invited? Has there been one lately?
We've had one meeting, that's all we've had.
And that's,
But we have not looked at
and this
it.
was like one a month or something?
It was once a month, and it started June, July. Oh, actually, it was like May, June, and then we anticipated August being the completion date, and so that's where we stood. And so I come August 1st, and it's just the way it is.
So
yeah,
basically,
the way
we've
it
gone
is,
through
what it
3
is.
months with nothing?
Yes, correct.
That wasn't part of the
That
deal.
was addressed at our last meeting. Henrietta said she was, if I remember right, that they would call a meeting.
Yeah, and there hasn't
And
been
that
one in a long
hadn't
time.
happened.
It
Well,
stopped,
he
it
was
completed
supposed
in
to
silence.
To a meeting of the city,
He did,
But not the oversight
not the
committee.
one.
Not the oversight committee.
yeah.
But you guys are supposed to be able to look at the draws,
Well,
the existing balance
We
drawn,
have not
balance
seen-
paid, et cetera, et cetera.
we have not seen any financial draws that they made.
None at all. We just got an overview of what the park's gonna be,
That's
where
all.
it's gonna be, completion dates, and that's all we thought. Yeah, that we there's no financial analysis to any of this project.
We don't need the dog and pony show, we need the numbers.
Yeah,
But we don't have.
so we can start again.
And they haven't been provided, you know.
I'm willing to go again if they're scheduled on the board.
I think, Tommy, we need to reach out.
Well,
Because that was part of our original agreement for us putting up the money, was this was gonna be,
And I'll be sure to go straight to Henry.
yeah, don't pass go and do not pay $200.
My understanding is that they've made some big draws already, you know,
And I think you're probably right.
so, but. as
Well,
far
they did
as-
do some draws because Heartland Rep did the inspection and signed off on it to approve the draw.
Hard runs, right? I like that.
So, like I
Seems like
said,
we varied from the agreement just a tad, maybe.
But what do we do to bring it back on course besides what we're doing? I mean, is
You
there
know, you
anything?
can, I guess, Scott, at this point, you can only ask, I don't know what else you can do. They have the money, we don't have it. Mr. Banker, can you help with any suggestions, sir?
Maybe it's time to pray.
I don't know whether it do any good, really.
Yeah, right. It's always a good practice, so.
But,
If we can get it back on track, that's the way we gotta go.
I understand. Well,
I
if
understand.
you'll help pursue that, and you between you and
It's just,
Tommy, perhaps we can get this back on, or we can at least find out where we're at, where we're going, and what's.
Yeah, because there's nothing, yeah, no answers. Don't have any time when it's gonna be complete.
No
so
water.
forth.
It just
Yeah.
feels like y'all were purposefully shut out.
Yeah, nothing comment,
I
except
mean-
till the first time we asked Henrietta last week.
Yeah,
or what
and
happened
it was
to
like,
meetings.
what do you mean, you know? Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like,
Yeah, it fell off.
yeah. But it's like they, you almost get the feeling like they wanted to shut you out.
Yeah, and this is not about the oversight committee, this is about y'all are not being given the information. Very well. Number 11, discussion item.
I brought this up just because I wasn't a part of this with Mr. Woolney, and I think that the board has taken the proper action and has done what they need to, and I told him that in a meeting, but I bring it up just because there were some conflicts in the files. The fencing agreement says, and A, says that the FEDC will pay for fencing materials and that Mr. Woolney will put the fence up. But it is not signed. And then I found, that was in September of 13. Then I found minutes of August of 13. And back on the second page, the board authorized RAM to find somebody to build a fence for a cost not to exceed $1,300. Now, I mean, the way I look at this, that was August minutes, and then the fencing agreement was September, so that should rule. And I told Mr. Woolnick that, and I think, I understand, I feel sorry for him because he's got all this overgrown and it's gonna cost a lot of money, but I wanted him to quit putting us as one of the responsible parties, because I said, you know, this is what was agreed to, and we paid, and we bought the material, right? He said, yes. You know, his big problem is that he and Commissioner Gomez are at odds, and have been at odds. And he asked the commissioner if they could use their equipment and clear out the fence line, and Gomez told him no. And so I suggested he sit down with Commissioner File and see if we can get any ideas about how to approach the county to help get them to help clear this out, but that we had completed our obligation, and I want to be sure the board is in agreement with that.
So this is a dead issue for us from now on.
Yes.
And Commissioner Fall has no jurisdiction or authority.
Right.
In Commissioner Holmes' precinct.
He's just been butting heads with Gomez for
Well,
years.
my understanding is that if if your fence line fronts a county road, they will come clean it out for you if you're building a new fence or something to help with drainage on the county road, because it helps the county. But it's not a free fence clearing service provided, but it's only if it benefits them too.
Yeah.
It's like we share that fence line with you and it'll help our drainage on the road. It's not to go do, and if he's not fronting the county road, it's old railroad tracks, now it's hike and bike trail.
Yeah.
I could blink it's illegal for the.
Yeah, didn't old Slim Daniels
Rabbit
get
hole.
in trouble for that back in the 80s when I was like,
Probably something.
yeah.
The, back in the day, the railroad would actually, do a deal with you to clean out the fence line, supply the materials, you build a fence. Yeah, but, that's long past. And I went back there with Tommy, and there's a gorge on this fence property that's 15, 20 foot deep. It's not a little bitty project. And then as soon as it rains, it's gonna be another project. So.
And the way I think that I can speak for Ray, I don't see how he can use this 10 acres or whatever to let his cattle graze on it, because he's telling me, after all these years, I've lost,
This is Mr. Woolney. Is he the man that introduced himself at the meeting was named something like Apache Appaloosa or Appaloosa Apache, is the owner. And this Mr. Woolney, I don't recognize that name, but I remember at the city council meeting, I'm gonna say 2 months ago, maybe 3, he introduced himself as is either Appaloosa Apache or Apache Appaloosa, I don't know. But that name stuck with me. And it was about the annexation, and he got onto this matter. And
I don't
think that Mr. Woolney's the owner.
I think they've been accustomed to running their fences kind of east and west across the road track. And they didn't really have a boundary fence up, and they were able to graze both sides. And maybe the owners are not, they have 2 separate owners. But there was no remnants of a fence that I saw. But it could have been way up top of a tree, I don't know, but it wasn't on the ground.
Well, it's a non-issue for us from now on.
Yeah, if there's no objections, I think I've settled it with him, and that he will go somewhere else. I don't know where that is, but.
Okay, discussion item number 12. Tom?
On September the 19th, I, along with the city manager, new city attorney, and the Floresville water and wastewater crew and their boss, and about 4 or 5 subcontractors for Spectrum, all met here, and Spectrum basically announced that they were coming in with 8 or 10 crews, start bearing cable. They wanted to have their system up and operational within Floresville by December the 15th. And so I think, it was a win-win. So we're going to have Horizon competing with Spectrum to see who can get the cable in and get the service up as fast as possible.
Now, is this high-speed internet is this
Yeah.
a package like iWire was pushing?
Yeah.
It's the same internet speed?
You buy different packages, and the price varies as far as what kind of speed and how many channels and.
Will this bring high-speed internet to Floresville?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So, you
It's a
know.
much sweeter deal than the other one.
This, to me, is just the beauty of having a free enterprise system. We got competitors that both want the prize, so they go after it.
Is there something that they can do to like have exclusive rights to the city, or is no, it's all?
I don't think so.
Okay, I'm just curious if
And
that was.
and I don't think the city would be wise to do that,
Yeah.
because we're seeing what happens if we just say, you know, it's a free market, you all get out